We now return to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Episode 4, Twisted Karma and His Last Bow.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder, an executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
"8 days after that earth-shattering trial of Kazuma regaining his memory, we were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel. 1st of November. 10:24 a.m. Great Waterloo Hotel foyer. Professor Mikotaba is due to arrive at any moment. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Susato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew? That he was actually the mass murderer, the professor, you mean? I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikotaba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right, but for some reason he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows then. About Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia, and that he's regained his memory now. Oh, there she is. These fellows. Oh, Father. Hello, Susato. How are you? Very well, thank you. We're delighted you've arrived safe and sound. Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man, and why do I feel as though I've seen him before? I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder, Seishiro? A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap. A what? Here we go, then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, unconscious. Guilty. Ah. Oh, you're... the man whose voice I don't remember. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Your Excellency. Hello, Judge Chikoku. How are you? It's been a long time. Good you remembered now. That really did the trick. Guilty. Ha ha ha. Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? And there was no laughing at the time. Oh, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. So, to be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Oh, really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? Is it? What are you talking about, Yujin? Of course, Judge Jigoku. He must complete the set. He's the other man who, 16 years ago, came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. He's the third visiting scholar. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? I knew you were jealous. Sorry, ministerial status? Yes, didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on this study tour. Guilty as charged. Oh, well, thank you very much. He's really every bit as important as he looks. Ah, yes, now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy. Yes, could you tell us anything more about it? Okay. So, how was the voyage here? I mean, why? It's kind of off topic right now, but sure. Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. But it wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true. And I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience. But what route did you guys take the first time? The Arctic Circle? Ah, so you stopped in France's beautiful... It's not the night to do this. So you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris? We did, yes, though only for one night. And yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow. It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father. It's thanks to Seishiro here. 16 years ago, he managed to ingratiate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited, and I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Eugene. You were close friends with the professor of forensic science at a major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. Except that we literally asked about that a few seconds ago. No, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Kazuma's father, I suppose. The professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy, was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Osogi. Genshin. You knew, I presume, Father? Yes. He was a close friend at the time. Genshin came to Britain as a police detective. He was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. How much you want to bet by the end of this, we vindicate him and find his innocence? But what about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? No, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness, so I'm sure that was a shock to him then, in the last trial. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he were my own son. Then one day, he came to my office at the university and said, "I've decided I want to travel to Great Britain and study there." Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death? I don't know. But when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in that trial the other day, actually. Oh, what? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Kazuma's since turned up here in London working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks. Nani? What? That's news to us. So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part, then. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January. But he didn't die. He's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father? In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try to ascertain what had happened, but to no avail. But he's still alive, and here in London, you say? I never dared even to dream it. Why on earth did the young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now. Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia. What? Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were. I see. He only regained his memory 8 days ago. This is unbelievable. Yes, it's quite miraculous. I wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently. I wonder how Kazuma's been these past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go and visit him? I don't know. And I feel like there's still a whole dangling plot line from the first part of the game with the whole, selling state secrets and the Russian spy who was in the jury and all that. That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Eugene here, Genshin Asogi, and myself. We were the original three, the first judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation. Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yume University at the time, young lady? Yes, grandmother told me. He went to do research at a great London hospital to study autopsy, practically unheard of in Japan. Yes, it was an eerie place sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground. Gasp! Not more talk of graves. Very often, there's no one willing to deal with bodies following autopsy work. So you see, autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all. Do you remember that Scottish prison governor? Kaiden his name was. He was a good man. Yes, but then of course in our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. When Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but you went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say that after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. It was a lost cause, sadly. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible. Do they not have a bellhop over there that can do that? Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have held you up here for so long. I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here. Susato-san's gone off at a run. I'd like to stay and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow. Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck. Naruhodo, I hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been. Oh no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me. Well, I do appreciate you being there for her, after all. I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down. Sorry, what do you mean? Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. The very year Susato was born. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too. Oh, yes, Susato-san hinted at something like that. It was a rather turbulent time at home. Your mother must have died, huh? Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man, and it was then that Seishiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind, so perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. Probably whacked him with that mallet. So, that's what happened in a nutshell. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say. I completely understand, Professor. Now, one other thing, Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you. Oh, really? Of course. What can I do for you? I'm sure this will be great. Well, the thing is, oh, shit. This guy's been here before, and I don't remember the voice I gave him. I'm so sorry that took so long. Miss Susato. Now then, allow us to take your bags. Allow me to take your bags. One moment, if you please, porter. Oh, of course, sir. Are you drinking on the job? The machine around your neck. It's a camera, I believe. Oh, quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Oh, yes, of course. I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It's really made my father very happy, I think. Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikoto was about to ask me something. Shall we return to Baker Street, then? I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us. Yes, let's go. I'm getting more and more anxious about Cosmo, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. Before we go, I want to examine the place here. There are, I think I've mentioned, sort of achievements, like hidden secret things. I just want to see. Those cases just left there on the trolley. Aren't they worried about thieves? I know I am. Haven't you seen the porter over there? Don't worry. He's obviously keeping an eye on everything. So it's a trap designed to catch any chancers who might be tempted. Now, why did the porter give me such a scathing look just now, do you suppose? Well, some might say you look a little suspicious with your jet black clothes. I mean, in Victorian England? Not everyone clad in black is some sort of ninja with intent to steal, you know. That's unusual for the time, is it? Have you seen all those sparkling jewels up there? They must have gathered every gem in the world for that. It's called a chandelier, I believe. It's designed to provide elegant lighting in large, spacious rooms like this. So they had to gather every gem in the world just to illuminate one room? It's probably electric light bulbs that are actually throwing the light. If I tried to hang something like that from the ceiling in the office, it would be scraping on the floor. I think perhaps chandeliers aren't for you, Mr. Naruhodo. That desk is known as the hotel reception. Anyone wanting to spend the night has to report there to sign in for their stay. Oh, so do you think that's the head clerk behind the desk there? I don't know, there's two of them. Yes, I'm sure it must be. I'd love to stay in a grand hotel like this for a little while, wouldn't you? Just to know what it's like. If the hotel fee was paid through our stipend, I'm afraid it might bankrupt our homeland. True. London gives the word expensive a whole new meaning. Although, back in the day, it was not uncommon to treat a hotel room as a long-term stay. Although I'm sure this place is quite more expensive than those places. Look at that. It's a picture of the Crystal Tower. Well, the Great Exhibition is one of Britain's most prestigious achievements in recent years. I wonder how tall it is. It really does represent the pinnacle of scientific achievement in so many ways. There's a 20-meter tall chimney on the bathhouse near my lodgings at Yume University. The attendant there is always boasting that it's the tallest object in the neighborhood. I'm sure. Did you know that over the channel in Paris there's a tower that's 300 meters tall? What? How many times taller than the chimney at Yume Sokin Hot Springs is that? And if it's that tall, how does it draw properly? Oh, smokestack, right. Smoke would get stuck, surely. I don't think it's that sort of tower, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, well, apparently that's all we can look at. And it didn't unlock crap. So, I believe Iris has been waiting for us back at Sholmes' suite. What the hell is that? Oh, look. There's a mask on the chest. A man screaming in a most unflattering way. Do you think... Could it have been Mr. Sholmes? Oh my, I do hope not. I don't do it anymore. Mon ami, mon ami. Stop this disgraceful display, huh? Who are these people? Look at their hair, it's bright red. I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. Oh, fuck. We gotta juggle 4 different voices here at the same time in conversation. Right, you do? You're coming with me now. Down to the clink. No, not in prison. It is dark and damp and I don't like it. Oh, the darkness it is, my friend. I am not scared. But you are always scared of the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist. I don't like this. I don't like it. Well, tough. Yo, fuck, I've already screwed it. We'll finish this down at the yard. Now get moving. Ah, 5th one enters. Jesus Christ, we're already starting with a dozen voices. Bye then, Ginny. Have fun. Oh yeah, thanks, Iris. And thanks, you're a great detective. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Runo. Hello, Iris. We're home. Well, did you find your daddy? Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well, that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Yes, of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, Iris, all that remains now is that greatest of problems known to man. But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order, don't you, my dear fellows? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb or such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'd say. Come along then, everyone. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea. Whatever is going on here today? In that case, let us sit and drink now, for I am in fact expecting a guest later today. I suppose. Mr. Sholmes, who were the two gentlemen that were here before? Oh, just a pair of petty criminals, nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. When the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all matters of infractions. All matters of infractions? When the mood takes you. All manner of infractions? But when such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out. Oh my, you were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes. But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally. You should have asked Gregsy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. Tea party? We're going to Boston now. I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Ah, I have it. A bungler, that's the word. Good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads had been up to no good? I wonder what the men did. What was that about the greatest problems known to man that you mentioned before? Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes? How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere. Possibly. It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops. Wait, what? We were apes? Indeed, and from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it's been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes? Why, is it not obvious, my dear madam? The problem of rent. Indeed. But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tispel's only the other day? Pshaw, a large sum. One potted herb for Isis, herb, and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you. Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it. Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem, for the coming month at least. And what was the answer? Why, there is a substantial clue before your very eyes. Don't tell me, let me see. Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There is one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. In the end. It's been stabbing me in both eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation. I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo. Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago you said to us, "I'll now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that." That case aboard the SS Burrier in January. Cosmo wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew, but how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. Oh, how horrible. It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong. Oh. I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. There's got to be more than that, though, right? There's always 4. The mask Cosmo wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up. We ought to give it back to him, I suppose. But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? And I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself. But isn't he your best friend? What's in the news? This looks like last week's edition. What's that article circled in red ink there? It's an advertisement column. It says, "To the Red-Headed League." The Red-Headed League. What's that? I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but... Is something on my face? Clearly this has something to do with that lively hair. The Red-Headed League article has been entered into the court record. I guess we should probably look at it. On account of the request of the late Zekiah Hopkins of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, USA, there is now another vacancy open, which entitles a member of the League to a salary of £4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men who are sound in body and mind and above the age of 21 years are eligible. Apply in person on the morning of the 31st at the large park on Lime Street. Get £4 a week if you are a redhead. A most fantastic money-making opportunity. Public health report. By the condition of the city of London itself of late has been a positive year in public health. There have been few cases of consumption reported compared to last time. Okay. Teaching hospital. Doctors all nation. The theory of miasma is being soundly rejected as experiment after experiment has yielded conclusive evidence in support of what physician John Snow has concluded many years prior. There's a strong correlation between contaminated water and the prevalence of certain diseases. In fact, the latest news to arrive from the continent is consistent with our own research into the so-called germ theory, by which minuscule microorganisms are the actual cause of a great many illnesses. Okay, I don't care anymore. Teapot. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. Although, I do yearn for a Japanese kotatsu. Putting your legs under a warm, blanketed table is so comforting. Do be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't mistakenly put your feet into the fire, will you? You'd suffer terrible burns, you know. I worry sometimes about how Susato-san sees me. Look at the knickknacks. Ah, yes, Mr. Sholmes' curious collection of trinkets from the various mysteries he solved. It's one of my favorite parts of this room, full of items with such exciting tales to tell. I do believe it's added to it. Jesus. I need to quit. I can't read tonight. He's added to it since I last looked. Now there's a mysterious pince-nez, a mysterious little box, a mysterious horseshoe, a mysterious biscuit. I think that last one might just be one of Iris's unfinished snacks. I think we already had that dialogue previously. Guess we can keep looking at everything. I finally managed to remember this behemoth's name. The Great Analytoscope. Okay, we've had this conversation too. I don't think it was here when I left for Japan, was it? Yeah, okay. Oh, is that right? Yes, because it was with the pawnbroker. Of course. Oh, that's given me a wonderful idea. I could pawn everything that's on your desk, right? The office would be tidy at last. Don't even joke about it. Okay. You are joking, aren't you? Okay, I think we're done here. If it's just going to keep giving me the same dialogues as before. What's this about the redhead league you're wearing? It looks as though someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League. Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learnt to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry. In the first instance, and quite indispensable, observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast. There we go. So what is the Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you circled? You noticed it in the paper, then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me. But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week? But why? What are they paying people for? That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put it in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance. Might be stretching a point, I think. The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see. Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away. Wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. So you decided to try to join in his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. Well, I guess you better. What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes? I'm glad you asked, Miss Usato. What you see atop my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. It changed the color of my hair overnight by the wonder of chemistry. I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves. In the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion that, when taken, turns one's hair a flame-like red. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass. But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it? Ah, an tours are always hampered by such fears.
Oh, I should never have doubted you, Mr. Sholmes. You mean to say...
But of course. To earn £4 per week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely.
So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street, where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members.
So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk like Acosta's Orange Barrow.
What?
I queued for 8 hours solid before, at last, I reached the front. When the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" So naturally I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning, when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. So I turned that pair into the police.
Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads.
But how did they get in here in the first place?
Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting a guest today?
Indeed, Mr. Sato, that is correct. Not another of those red-headed gentlemen that were here before. Not at all. They were petty villains. But the guest I am expecting is a client.
Oh?
A young gentlewoman who wishes to appoint the services of this great detective, no less.
Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes.
We must stay and observe the fashion in which a great detective receives his customers. Must we? I have you in my clutches now, Rent, just as I have you in my clutches, Redheads. I'm sure there's a wordplay in the original Japanese there. That hearty laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel.
You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. Don't feel as though you must wait around if you have other things to do.
I believe we might. I think that's all we're getting out of him. I don't believe we've visited this place for some time. That's usually a hint to go there. Alright. Well, I feel like this is probably going to be another 20-minute, half-an-hour conversation, whatever, so why don't we end this one a little bit earlier than normal? I'll see you next time.